They're really pretty, and they sound pretty good too. This episode of Some Gadget Guy brought to you by viewers like you and the incredible generosity of my patrons on patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. More on that awesome group of geeks later in this review. Alright, the folks at Meze Audio sent these my way, the Meze Alba in-ear monitor earbuds to take on a test drive and share some thoughts. Meze is an interesting brand. I've tried them out a lot, but I've only driven one pair of cans long enough to feel like I could produce a knowledgeable review on them. I didn't get to spend any time with the Advar. They're more expensive in-ear monitors. The brand is following up that premium option with the Alba arriving at a lower price. Now, the presentation isn't quite as fancy as the Advar, but they're still really well accessorized. The buds come with a nice braided cable. There's a really nice little carry pouch that's included in the box. And when you order, you do get a standalone USB-C dongle DAC that matches the Alba's cabling. Not included in this package, but the folks at Meze also sent over another accessory, a balanced cable with a 4.4mm connector. I used the balanced cable mostly with my Shanling UA4, a little DAC that I've also reviewed on this channel, but the majority of my time using Alba was with the included dongle DAC and just a little time kind of comparing and contrasting against other portable DACs in my collection. The buds are really cute. Now, I don't usually value the design very highly in my reviews. I can't see myself wearing headphones, so I kind of don't much care what they look like. The casing here is very similar to the Advar. It's a smooth, soft, rounded, organic look, which in this pearlescent white is almost like a little cloud or a pillow or a marshmallow. And it is a smaller case. Now, the nozzles for the ear tips aren't the smallest, but I think this should be a comfortable and a lightweight fit for folks who are sensitive to putting a bulky bud in their ear canal. I recently spent some time with some huge CCAs. The Meze are a little more like some of my favorite Eco earbuds. Eco or Ico? Regardless, I think a lot of folks are going to find these comfortable, which is kind of the point of the design. Now, the Alba use a 2-pin connector, which I kind of prefer. I've recently had some poor experiences with really expensive in-ear monitors using MMCX connectors. And inside each case, we have a single 10.8mm dynamic driver, which brings us to the most important part of a headphone review. How do they sound? Nice and comfy. When I think of my experiences with Meze, the 99 Classics specifically, I've positioned this brand in my brain as a warm, mellow, comfortable kind of sound. You want to settle in, sit in a nice comfy chair, and listen to the music. The Alba are comfy. Now, Meze PR sent over a frequency response graph, and seeing it, I was a little worried that the bass, that low end, might come in a bit richer or fatter than I would prefer. It's not deep V, but there is a bit of a U shape to this EQ. I feel the 99 Classics had just a bit more of a nudge in the mids. I haven't had my ears in those cans in a while, so I might just be making this up. But if you've seen anything on my channel, I'm insufferable. I'm always talking up about wanting more in the mids. So I've never been a big fan of overly hyped mega bass or aggressive deep V kind of tuning. I was happy to hear a comfortable sound that didn't overly slather on the bass. If you want skull rumblers and you're gonna shake the fillings out of your teeth, these probably won't be for you. They're warm, they're rich, but I think they're a little more careful than that. And the highs get a bit more presentation. Now, at their worst, I think we can almost hit shrill, like when a pop track is aggressively mixed. WTF from OK Go is my torture test for this, where shimmer at the high end of that song sounds piercing to me on a lot of headphones. And Alba gets close to discomfort, but it's restrained enough to keep from stabbing me in the ear with that particular track. Again, every ear is gonna be different, so your mileage will vary. But if you really dig on the rumble in hip hop and electronica, I think the bass lines in songs like Lose Yourself to Dance become a lovely, rich bed. There's articulation in the attack, but the dynamic driver isn't popping the initial spike of that attack. And the Alba can shine when an instrument lives in a space, where the Alba are starting to lift again in the EQ. So I'm listening to some Dave Brubeck. Oh, this is warm, this is comfy, but I kind of wish the upright bass was just a little more forward. Maybe these things are just a bit too chill. But then this saxophone comes in, and it's so sexy. And the tremor of the reed is clear, and it's And it's like these earbuds put that instrument on an altar. It was lush. I mean, the tuning is very specific, and it's deliberately considered for those folks wanting something, wanting a longer listening session. For that tuning, though, there is some room here if you want to play with nudging up the lows a little more in your media player's EQ. Thanks to the highs in that presentation and some of the room that we've left for the mids, you've got some options here. You've got some room before these earbuds start to get muddy if you want to pump a bit more of the lows. Now, it's a closed dynamic driver earbud, and I think there's a reasonable presentation of soundstage. Now, we're never going to get to the open or natural sound of open back cans, but I like what these do to space in stereo recordings. I don't feel like my head is in a vice, or that the audio is just shooting me right between the eyes. I've also mentioned how I'm a bit of an articulation junkie too. I usually have to temper that in these reviews. I think I need to maybe downplay that a little bit more just for what I like. Because I don't think folks always understand that when they get fatigued in longer listening sessions, an overly aggressive, articulate attack headphone can sometimes tire you out faster. The Alba are quite good at balancing out a rich sound with maintaining attacks, but I feel there is a consideration more towards comfort than just the clinical accuracy, like what I would try to mix audio on. I'm so used to that though. I would prefer just a little bit more rage when I listen to Rage Against the Machine. That was a terrible joke. Moving on. Lastly, for the buds, they're not the most isolating. Getting a good fit on these, closing up my ear canal with the ear tips, they are reducing environment around me, but they aren't as isolating as, say, the CCA I was talking about using recently. So I'm kind of torn on this. When I'm out and about, say I'm walking around the neighborhood, or if I'm walking by traffic, you probably don't want the most isolating earbud. But then I think of things like flying on an airplane, and the Alba would not be my top pick for trying to reduce airplane engine noise. They're a little too audiophile for that. Where you think you'll use your earbuds contributes a lot to what earbuds you should buy. Now, the included DAC complements these buds really well. I mean, just running some basic tests, I don't run a scientific laboratory here. We have an included accessory that hangs with and can sometimes outpace the Apple USB-C audio dongle. A dongle that I think is a very good representation of a starter, higher quality audio source for a lot of consumers. So this is a good option to include in the price of these earbuds. In an era where phones have lost headphone jacks, you have everything you need to get up and running, and you can easily swap between a phone and a tablet and a laptop all on the same USB-C plug. Chances are pretty good that this will outperform most of the built-in headphone jacks on mobile devices, unless you've gone out of your way to own a nicer gaming laptop or a gaming phone, or you're a real one and you're still rocking an old LG. Quad DAC for life. These numbers are very good and they drive the Alba well, but the buds wake up a bit when you run them through a beefier DAC. I had a pretty good time on the aforementioned Shandling UA4. Not just that the amp is more powerful, but all of the performance metrics improve, like distortion and your signal-to-noise ratio, which is about where we should start wrapping this video up. Meze is not typically the brand I personally reach for. And if you followed me on this channel, I'm an obnoxious mids junkie who wants an almost comically exaggerated articulation on instrument attack. It's the side effect of working in spoken word recording for over 20 years. I want to be able to hear the individual vibrations of vocal folds as people talk quietly. The Alba are not that. And I think that means more people will like that sound better than what I will typically reach for. One of the main pitches from Meze PR that these are designed to feel premium and wear comfortable, to sound comfortable, and in that, I think they've completely succeeded. It's a Meze vibe made all the more attractive by arriving at a lower price point. Still a premium earbud, but one I think more folks might be willing to try. And as I play with all of this fun audio gear and I test and I listen and I compare, the first people who get to hear about that are my awesome patrons, the geeks helping me to keep the lights on here in the Gadget Lab. Now, I always greatly appreciate everyone who can help support their favorite YouTube channels if you're subscribing, or even more importantly, if you're sharing content around the socials. But if you have the means, please consider joining the community at patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. Early access tiers, 4K uploads, the private Discord. Once again, patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. A huge thank you from the bottom of my heart, as these videos and reviews would literally not be possible without that support. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet, at SomeGadgetGuy, basically everywhere, but these days I'm trying to spend a bit more time on the Mastodons, a little less so on the Facebooks and the Instagrams, and definitely not on the Twitters, and I will catch you all on the next review.